comes down to making sure that the digital representation of your actual physical product displays it in the best possible way to two audiences. One is the robots and the other is the human beings. So let's start with the human beings. So, and I'll tell you what I mean by robots when we get to it. So for the humans, the number one thing that they see, that their emotional and logical experience of your product starts with one thing before they buy it. And that's all that matters is before they buy it, because once they buy it, it's all over. So it starts with one thing, and that is your one main image. Because when you're scrolling, when you search for something that you need, if I search for Japanese teacups on Amazon, I'm not scrolling, I'm scrolling really fast. And I actually used to watch people buying stuff on Amazon like a creep, like behind them, like in cafes. Like I literally would just see people shopping on Amazon and I would stop and I would just look and I would observe how they shop. And this is what they do. They search and they don't read a single word. They don't read a single word. They see only pictures. Like their mind is scrolling through something that gives them a little hit of dopamine or a little like tweak to their brain, something that they like on the surface, and then they click and then they read the words. So if you don't have the right number one main image, you don't even get the click. You never even get to the whole point where you're spending all this time doing keyword optimization and sales techniques and all of that stuff because nobody is clicking you. So that's literally the most important thing over everything else.
In your opinion, so the main image is number one thing, and they get that hit of dopamine. When do they combine that and get another hit of dopamine? When they see the reviews, is that another hit of dopamine where they combine the picture that looks good and the reviews that look good, and then boom, this is something I have to click on? Is that the recipe you think that goes through people's minds?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's a whole journey. So they see that the image that tweaks them a little bit, then they might take the time to read just maybe the title. And then if they're hooked enough by that emotionally, that's when you're closing the deal when it comes to the content. And we're talking to humans here. We're not talking about algorithms. We're talking about human beings at this point. So once you get them on there, then it's about speaking to that pain or that passion that they have for that thing. So the reason that they're there is they're either experiencing some type of pain, however small or large, or some type of love or passion for a thing or a space or a category or a person or a dog. And that's what you want to speak to. You don't want to we're not talking about features. We're not even talking about direct benefits. We're talking about the final benefit. So if we're selling garlic presses, right? The problem isn't actually that the guy wants to chop up some garlic. That's what it would seem like. You'd seem like, chops garlic really well. Well, that's really not what you're solving. You're solving the fact that normally when this guy is chopping garlic, he's mushing it with the side of a knife and then getting his hands really sticky. And then he can't touch anybody in the kitchen for the rest of the time that he's cooking because his hands are all sticky with garlic. That's the problem. And he wants to touch his wife while he cooks, and now he can't. That's the problem. It's not the fact that this garlic needs to be chopped up. It's the fact that this guy is uncomfortable and he's disconnected from people. Like, do you see what I mean? It's a very big difference between what the problem appears to be and what the pain that the person is actually feeling is. And that's one thing that you rarely ever see on these listings because everyone is so obsessed with keyword optimization and, keyword stuffing and like algorithm optimization. But at the end of the day, the person reading your listing who's clicking the button to buy is a human being, not an algorithm or a robot. It's not the A9 algorithm that's clicking the button buy now. It's a person. So if you speak to them in the right way, that's how you get them to click the buy now button, not by keyword stuffing. But that's important too. We're about to cover that. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I'm just going to take an extra 5 minutes, Mike, just because.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I'm only like halfway through this. So we're talking about speaking to the end need. In order to get to that end need, you just keep asking why like 5 times. So in the example that I just said, like the guy needs to chop garlic. Why? Because, garlic needs to be chopped before it can be cooked. Well, or no, it's because the guy doesn't want to chop the garlic with a knife. Well, why? Well, because when he chops garlic with a knife, it gets his hands sticky and that makes him upset. Well, why? Because when his hands are sticky, he can't touch anybody or can't hug his wife while he's cooking. And that's how you get like to the very core problem. That's just one little example. But any product you can do, you ask that question 5 times as a general rule, will bring you to the core pain, the real pain that person is feeling. And that's what you want to speak to. Then you can go into the benefits of the product in general, and then you can go into the features of logically why it's better. But first, you have to hook them emotionally. Once you get that emotional hook, they want to buy it. They're just looking for an excuse logically to do it. So they want it already once you speak to that pain. Then once you put in those features, it also, rotates every time you cut, unlike other garlic presses. It also has like a triple blade, unlike just the double blade of other garlic presses. Then those features allow them to rationalize to themselves why they're buying it, even though the real reason is you spoke to their emotional pain in the first place. So that's the key when it comes to talking to the human beings. And this is all just so that we can optimize your conversion rate and the quality of your listing and product before a launch to make it successful. All of this plays into that. So that's the human being. Then when it comes to the robots, now we're speaking to algorithms. And the key to that is making sure that you elegantly place these keywords in your listing in a way that's not awkward and doesn't take from the way that you're communicating to people. And this is the one thing that I think I see more and more, because everybody's always looking for that hack, and people end up spending like 90% of their energy on algorithm optimization and only 10% of their energy on the actual human side or the sales side of things, which is why I wanted to like focus more on the human aspect here. But when you're adding keywords to the listing, first of all, you want to do it in an elegant way. I mean, I see listings where it's just so obvious. They're just in the most awkward, weird ways, like just cramming keywords together. And when I open that up, like as a person reading that listing, I'm like, it's just confusing. And it doesn't give me any good feeling, or it doesn't speak to my pain at all. I'm just like, what the fuck is this? So you can get, as many long tail keywords as you want in there to pick up more visibility. But if the people that are coming to it, you're not speaking to their pain, you're going to just tank your conversion rate. And that when you tank your conversion rate, you're much less likely to have a sticky launch. Having a high conversion rate is probably the number one most important thing for sticking the landing of your launch. Everything that we're talking about now is about increasing your conversion rate or your click-through rate, one or the other.